Hello, welcome everybody to the Heartline. This is my first YouTube video, so it might not be perfect, but I really hope that it is enjoyable for everybody, and I'm glad that everybody could be here to watch it. It makes me very happy. Today I'm going to be ranking every Giga Coaster that I have ridden, and this channel is going to have a lot of these sort of just ranking videos. This is stuff I want to do, so there will be a lot more of these coming out in the future. But without any further ado, let's get into the video. Also, quick disclaimer, before the ranking begins, I'd like to note that this list was very close and difficult to make. All of these coasters in this list are in my overall top 15 roller coasters total, and are some of the best rides ever built, in my opinion. And even the ones ranked at the bottom are still great rides. And many of these coasters were within a few spots to each other on my overall ranking. So just keep that in mind as I get into this. Thank you. Kicking off this list, we have number 5, and this one hurts a little bit. At the number 5 spot, we have Orion at Kings Island. So, Kings Island is my home park, and I have probably ridden Orion more than any other Giga Coaster. So, it is kind of sad that I have to put it here, but it just doesn't compare to the others quite as well, in my opinion. Orion is a great ride, but all the others have a bit of an edge on it. So, Orion has several very good strengths. Orion has, in my opinion, possibly the greatest first drop of all time. It feels like you are just falling infinitely through space, and it is absolutely incredible sensation. Orion is also very smooth, but the layout does leave a bit to be desired in some spots. Overall, I'd say Orion has great airtime and some great moments of positive G, but it's just not the longest ride, and I've also doesn't have the same novelty as the other Gigas to me because I've ridden it so many more times. But overall, Orion is a great coaster and highly recommend it. It's also probably the best themed Giga Coaster, I must say. It is quite well themed. But that is all I have to say for this coaster. And next, we will be moving on to our number 4 spot. And at that number 4 spot, we have another coaster by Beauregard Mavillard. It is Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. This is, in my opinion, the most underrated Giga Coaster, and this Orion, Leviathan, and the next one, which I'll be getting to in a minute, are the closest three on my overall ranking. They are right next to each other, and it was very difficult to place these three. But I do feel like Leviathan gets overlooked a lot in the coaster community. It was the first B&M coaster, and you can definitely tell while riding it that it is a bit older than the others, but it is still a great coaster. I love the color scheme on this ride, and I feel like the layout of this coaster feels quite a bit different than the other Gigas. It feels very large and imposing. It has huge camelbacks that feel like they are much taller than they are in reality, and it has some great airtime and great low to the ground moments. I think it interacts with the front of the park very well, and it goes pretty much everywhere it feels like. You can see this coaster from all over the place, and while its first drop is not quite as much of a standout moment as it is in some of the other Gigas, I do feel like it is a very good first drop. Obviously, any drop that big is going to be incredible. And yeah, it does have a slight rattle to it that the others don't, just because of its age, but it is still quite a smooth coaster. And I think a lot of people should kind of give this ride some credit. I feel like it doesn't get all the credit it deserves, but I do still think that this next coaster is a tiny bit better. And that next coaster at the number three spot is gonna have to be Millennium Force at Cedar Point. So earlier I said that I thought that Leviathan was the most underrated Giga Coaster. Well, now it almost feels like Millennium Force might be that coaster, which is kind of strange to say because it was the first Giga Coaster, and when it opened, it was considered by many to be the best roller coaster ever built. And I think that now it gets a lot more hate than it deserves. It is still an incredible roller coaster, and I get that it might not be everyone its cup of tea, but this ride, in my opinion, focuses on things that a Giga Coaster should, which is its height and its sense of speed. And this coaster excels at both of those things. This has probably the most intimidating lift of any of the Gigas. It is very fast and it is right along the shoreline of Lake Erie. You get one of the best views you will ever see from a coaster. And this ride just feels so fast. It also is on the longer side compared to the other Gigas. And while some people criticize it because it does not have as much airtime as some of the other Giga coasters, I honestly don't care. I think it has several strong moments of floater, and it has lots of positive G's, great speed, awesome views, and is just overall an incredible experience that I think should not be overlooked. And I think that this is an amazing coaster that deserves to be respected. But I don't think it is quite as good as the number two coaster. And that number two coaster is Fury 325 at Carowinds. This is the first of the Gigas we've talked about so far that is in my overall top 10 coaster rankings, and this ride absolutely deserves to be there. This is considered by many to be the best Giga coaster, and I absolutely understand why. It does everything basically as perfectly as you could expect it to be done. It has very impressive layout. It is long, it is fast, it is very tall, and it is one of the most forceful Giga coasters. It has several moments of intense positive G's as well as intense airtime, and there are lots of snappy lateral transitions as well. And this is probably the most complete feeling Giga Coaster. It the layout feels like it goes on much longer than the others, and you have to talk about how well it interacts with the front gate. I love how this coaster goes over and under the front entrance, so this is always the first thing you see when you walk into the park, and it gets you very hyped up about it. I also think that this coaster, like all of the Gigas, looks very nice and has a great presentation in the park. But overall, I do think that there is one coaster that just barely edges it out and takes the top spot, which is mostly just based on my personal preference. But at the number one spot, we have Pantherian, previously Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This coaster is absolutely ludicrous in every way. I when I first rode this coaster, I was absolutely blown away by the intensity. This is I'd say one of the less complete Gigas. It has a relatively short layout, and considerably less airtime than the others. As well, I'd say it probably the least comfortable Giga, as the trains are not as comfortable as the others, and it probably has the least impressive first drop of them all. But this ride makes up for all of that with its unrivaled intensity. From the very beginning, this ride takes you to its highest point in what feels like a flash. You have almost no time to prepare for what is to come. And the first element you're greeted with after the first drop is a massive, swooping, low to the ground turn that drains all of the blood from your head and threatens to knock you unconscious every time you ride. This is the only element on a coaster that has made me completely pass out before, and it is an absolutely insane moment. Afterwards, you are treated with a series of high speed, low to the ground, very snappy transitions that send you flying from side to side at speeds that you would not think possible before riding this coaster. It also does have a few moments of nice airtime, but overall it focuses more on the positive G's and the snappy transitions. Also, another nice thing about this ride is that unlike the others, coaster almost never has a line, so you can ride it many times if you are up for it. But anyways, that is my ranking of every gig coaster I have ridden thus far. I sincerely hope you enjoy this video, and I would love to see your opinions down in the comments. But anyway, this is the Heartline's first video. We're glad you could be here, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.